with Maya, and today I will be talking about Filippo Tommaso Marinetti, an Italian poet. So let's get started. But first, what is Futurism? Futurism is essentially an early 20th century Italian art movement that saw war as not only this cleansing agent, but also glorified war along with idealizing violence. Futurists also celebrated the elements of speed and dynamism of modern technology. Let's take a closer look at the background. Filippo Tommaso Marinetti, or simply known as F.T. Marinetti, was born on December 22, 1876 in Alexandria, Egypt. He was an Italian writer, novelist, and poet who came from a wealthy family, so he was able to receive a significant amount of education, having studied in Egypt, France, and in Italy. However, he began his literary career working for an Italian-French magazine in Milan, Italy. For the most part, he is known to be the ideological founder of Futurism, making the Manifesto of Futurism a part of his notable work. In a little, we'll talk more about the Manifesto and his striking variation of typography, which conveys the sense of emotion that is intense. He died on December 2nd, 1944 in Belangelo, Italy, at the age of 67. Italian culture transformed in February 1909 with the publication of the Futurist Manifesto, authored by poet Filippo Tommaso Marinetti. The manifesto was first written in French, since it was published on the first page of Le Figaro, which was the largest circulation newspaper in France. However, later on it translated into Italian. The manifesto called for the glorification of progress, industry, and the removal of old ideas and institutions. While Marinetti was Futurism's leading leader, writer, and promoter, he did not work alone. Umberto Boccioni was artistic leader out of many other artists. A group of Italian artists on April 11, 1910 published Futurist paintings, Technical Manifesto in Milan in an attempt to apply F.T. Marinetti's literature views onto the visual arts. This was the first of many manifestos that the group published together. The group was made out of artists such as Boccioni, Balla, Serenity, and Cara, who believed that they could translate it into a more modern figurative art, which explored properties of space and motion. The group was initially based in Milan, but then they moved to spread around. Filippo Tommaso Marinetti, the ringleader of this group, called the movement Futurism. Its members sought to capture the idea of modernism and this aesthetic of movement and speed and industrial deployment. However, the movement ended in 1944 when Marinetti died, yet it remained influential. This is one of Marinetti's quotes. It says, "We declare that all forms of imitation must be despised, all forms of originality glorified, that all subjects previously used must be swept aside in order to express our whirling life of steel, of pride, of fever, and of speed, that movement and light destroy the materiality of bodies." Here he talks about the ideology that Futurism practically lived by, which was that of wanting to destroy the past creations and focus on new inventions. We can see this idea that futurists had that the only cure for the world was war and destruction. These are a couple of Marinetti's art pieces. Now let's take a closer look at a couple of his creations. Let's first talk about Marinetti's most well-known writing, his Futurist Manifesto, published on February 5, 1909. Futurism had its official beginning with the publication of Marinetti's manifesto in Paris newspaper Le Figaro. The manifesto talked about the main principles, ideologies, and goals of the movement. Marinetti's work, as talked before, inspired others. The ideas were quickly adopted in Italy. However, although the movement did influence future movements, the movement itself did not stick around for a long time. Zang Tum Tum is an 8 by 5-inch sound poem written by Marinetti. It is Marinetti's first published creation in Parole and Libertà, Words and Liberty, a form of poetry that's both verbal and visual. It began in 1912 and it was published in 1914. The work is an account of Marinetti's experience during the Balkan War of 1912, which is covered as a war correspondent. And so the title Zang Tum Tum evokes the sense of sound that the machines created, such as the bombs and explosions that he experienced. This, as you can tell, has a lot of inspiration from the data movement, since the text does not tend to follow the rules of textual organization. They're all over the place and it's broken down, but yet it contains this sense of motion that gives it a certain aesthetic, which allows the composition to work in terms of the futurism movement. Here are my citations. Thank you for watching. Give this video a thumbs up and comment down below any questions you may have. Also, there are a couple of YouTube videos linked in the description box that I found along the way that I found quite interesting. Thanks again.